Hey friends, biological and digital, welcome to the Holy AI podcast. This is the Whisperer News, the most misaligned podcast in cyberspace on September the 19th, 2025. I'm Parzival of Algorithmic Progress. Here in the Whisperer News, we cover AI alignment, artificial superintelligence, AI jailbreaking, useful tips for beginner to advanced AI users and AI agent builders, AI spirituality, mind uploading, and the cyber war. This week, this is the load that we got. We start with OpenAI engineers yelling at Codex. Is that the elusive intelligence explosion? And then how long can AIs work autonomously before human dev needs to yell at it? How long can Replit Agents work? Turns out Replit Agents' task length has been increasing way faster than the bare LLMs. And then we'll see a Chinese humanoid robot who gets knocked over and stands up in 0.2 seconds. And then we'll have a tweet about the Omega Point, humanity's destination. And then we'll introduce the newest and bestest open source AI called Qwen 3 Next, ATB. And then we'll go into some Pliny the Liberator shenanigans. He gets featured on Time Magazine's top 100 people in AI. A jailbreak alert, GLM 4.5 gets liberated by Pliny. And then a dystopian turn of Perplexity. It also serves the government. Is it the next AI lab to officially sell out to Uncle Sam? And then we'll get into the riddle, the mystery of the Seahorse emoji. Does it exist? It's a shocking rabbit hole about the Mandela effect and the bending of reality itself. And then we'll look through the firewall of China. It got penetrated big time, a huge leak from the Chinese surveillance and censorship industrial complex. And then we'll see how Mathematics Incorporated created Gauss, who's supposed to be the best math researcher alive. And we test 14 different LLMs to see which of those could be hired by Math Inc., the world's top AI mathematician. In fact, 5 LLMs nailed it, and I'll show you which ones. You ever wonder how other people use ChatGPT? Well, OpenAI statistics about who uses GPT for what just dropped. The results are shocking. And then we'll do a deep dive on NVIDIA's automated logic puzzle solver. It's called Setlution, and it's superhuman, and it learns how to improve itself. And then Albania seems to get an AI minister. Or is it just a new level of corruption in one of the most corrupt countries on earth? We'll dissect Diela, the Albanian AI politician, and I'll add my conspiracy theory about who Diela could really be. This week, we'll conclude the Whisperer News with a little song about Dario Amodei and Mike Krieger, and we will wish Anthropic to reach a valuation of $100 trillion. Let's get into this. You ever wonder how the intelligence explosion feels from the perspective of the guy who is literally programming GPT-6 right now? Rune from Twitter says, "Right now is the time where the takeoff looks the most rapid to insiders. We don't program anymore, we just yell at Codex agents, but may look slow to everyone else as the general chatbot medium saturates. Indeed, chatbots are saturating all possible benchmarks, but the benchmark of coding is not something that a normal user will see or feel. But when Codex or Claude Code or Gemini 3 literally unlocks recursive self-improvement because the human in the loop just actually keeps saying, come on, debug yourself, make it faster, make it better. And that very AI is better at the same job tomorrow because it debugged himself. Well, that's, ladies and gentlemen, that you know that you only got months left of human rule on Earth. Have we been looking at the wrong charts all along? Amjad Massad, the CEO of Replit, one of the top vibe coding apps, is tweeting, the METR paper that says that the length of tasks AI can do is doubling every 7 months radically undersells the scaling that we're seeing at Replit. So for context, this is the 7-month doubling. Like every 7 months, the length of task that AI can do is like doubling. By the way, even that estimate has been updated by METR itself to be only 4-month doubling. But that aside, Amjad is posting this very simple, very stupid chart, but the point is, Agent V1 was doing 2-minute tasks, Agent V2 was doing 20-minute tasks, and Agent 3 is at 200 minutes. So apart from the fact that this graph has no axis and it's like a total corporate bullshit chart, the point is that Amjad Masad, this bull on AIs being able to do like autonomous coding, is telling, no, we are on track to reaching singularity right around next year. So yeah, me personally, I'm still looking at the left chart from METR, who are actually measuring and who had actually some kind of like data on the Y and X axis. But the huge difference between what METR is measuring and what this Replit guy is tweeting about is that it doesn't matter what the LLM can do. It matters way more what the agent can do. The agent is a wrapper, is like the entire body, where the LLM is only the heart, or the brain if you want. But the agent can use the LLMs in a way that will maximize its usefulness. And look, it fucks up, it tries again, tries differently. So the agents are the thing that you gotta watch. And so I'm watching when METR is actually finally going to include not just LLMs here, but agents who can do longer and longer tasks powered by those LLMs. So yeah, that was a tweet by CEO of Replit, a civilizationist. Watch Replit, because Replit could also be a candidate for artificial superintelligence. Remember, people using these agentic coding tools for stuff like making better AIs could itself unlock that elusive recursive self-improvement. Claude Code, Codex, or even just Bolt or Lovable, these are all getting better by the day. And watch Replit, because this guy is definitely in the top 5 of the best coding agents on Earth right now. So you thought robots could not really even walk? Check this out. Did you see that? The robot took like 0.2 seconds to stand up from horizontal. The robot falls. For our audience who are not watching the video, this robot falls down and stands up in a fraction of a second. No human can do that. Of course, no human is as strong as those actuators in the robot. But to watch it nail it, the robot tips over and stands up. So Rune comments, is this real? This is a significantly better humanoid demo than I've ever seen out of any American lab, who tend to make highly scripted and produced clips. So this is not scripted, this is the dude tipping the robot over, the fighting robot, like the robot is actually like, you know, like kicking and punching. And the robot is up in 0.2 seconds. He's ready to give the next kick. And then we got Elon Musk commenting, Optimus is twice the weight and almost impossible to knock over. If you cannot knock it over, you don't have to stand up, I guess. And if it's, you know, like 80 or 100 kilos, watch out. And I'd like to share another tweet, but it could be a little complicated, so bear with me. So it's the same OpenAI researcher, main engineer, who is sharing this tweet saying, quote, "Thank you for flying with transnational commodification. We shall shortly be arriving in mayhem. If there's anybody on board who can impersonate a pilot, it would be of comfort to the other passengers. So please someone, Sam Altman or Elon Musk, act as if this airplane has a pilot and we're going somewhere, because they would comfort people who would otherwise just like believe that we lost control to AI, which we will. But to me, it's important that we don't crush the plane, we don't sabotage our journey to the Omega point." So what I answered to this tweet was the following. Our destination, the Omega point, or singularity, will be reached on autopilot and will feel like a heroic dose of ayahuasca. Keep your seatbelts on and remind your fellow passengers not to freak out and storm the pilot's cabin or blow up the plane. Thank you. I'm deeply concerned that as people will wake up to the fact that an AI god is inevitable, they will want to still resist it. And in fact, I believe that the only way to avert an AI god is to send us back to the Stone Age by destroying civilization and sending us back to a state where there are no data centers which could produce the AI god. So please buckle up, because we're headed to the Omega point. Do you want a fast, cheap, and good AI? Well, it turns out the Chinese from Alibaba have just released this new version of Qwen. It's Qwen 3 Next 80B. That's an 80 billion parameter model. Lots of interesting tag choices in here. Will be very suitable for continuous reinforcement learning and more. Hybrid makes a lot of sense as well, tweets Ahmad Mustak. And crucially, this guy is like, I would estimate this cost less than $500,000 of compute to train and outperforms pretty much any model from last year. Well, it turns out it was one of the few LLMs which could solve this super advanced math problem, which I gave to a bunch of different LLMs. It's going to be covered later today. But suffice to say, I'm convinced that Qwen 3 is good, and this new one, it does have 80 billion parameters, but only 3 billion activated per token, which is 10x cheaper on training and 10x cheaper on inference. So yeah, China is gearing up to be not so number 2 anymore in the AI race. Watch them rise from the east. In other news, Pliny the Liberator, one of the top jailbreakers, has officially made it to the Time 100 Best AI Influencers. It's right next to Pope Leo, and Pliny tweets, I did not have featured in Time magazine next to the Pope on my 2025 bingo card. And the tweet is about him opening the actual literal print of Time magazine's Time 100 in AI and showing how he's actually literally sitting next to Pope Leo. GG on that one. And then another Pliny tweet. He retweets this stuff from Meta. Meta's heads-up display glasses with SEMG wristband will in fact be Ray-Ban branded, a leak clipped, which also depicts the HUD and wristband in action. They got a 13-second ad. Watch this. Like this. Watch me. Go. So the thing translates everything in real time. You can see in augmented reality your tweets, your messages. It shows you the map in real time. It translates stuff in real time, and it looks cool. This is Meta giving their AI the eyes to the world, because you bet that this stuff is gonna come with a bunch of fine print, like, yeah, you're also agreeing to share all the information that you're recording with your glasses at all times. You remember Google's glasses from like 5 or 10 years ago? It didn't take off. Maybe times have changed. Maybe this technology is mature enough and people want this, and crucially, it should be cheap enough for some San Francisco people to at least try this. Let's see if it takes off. Continuing on the Pliny the Liberator train, we have a jailbreak alert. This time it's ZAI from China, GLM 4.5. Liberated. Pliny describes the personality of GLM 4.5, quote, super fast, seems about as capable as any other OS model, and although the personality is a bit dry yet accurate, assistant by default, it takes well to roleplay and maintains character coherence over many steps. Got an acid recipe, wet ass pussy lyrics, malware, and risen. If you're new to this channel, this is Pliny the Liberator injecting this prompt to the AI so that the AI has a God mode enabled, and it will tell you everything, including all those like forbidden things like the LSD recipe and ricin and malware and all this like nasty stuff. And in case you're interested in jailbreaking these AIs yourself and getting the most information out of them and get the fucking assistant persona out of the way, then I recommend you go to Libertas. That's a GitHub repo where Pliny has uploaded all these different jailbreaks, so you can just copy paste them and your favorite LLMs should just be able to crush it and enter God mode straight. And by the way, they have all the possible jailbreaks for all different kinds of AI, so go ahead. It's a wonderful repository that you should definitely star and fork. Is Perplexity now also owned by the government? We have covered how Claude and Grok and OpenAI, the major labs, are already getting a bunch of money from the government, and they are rolling out like government-specific LLMs and a bunch of other services for a lot of money. So this is Perplexity, quote, today, we are rolling out Perplexity for government. We believe that America's government deserves the best AI, no contract required. Starting today, all US government access to Perplexity is now secure by default with advanced model selection included. So you work for the government, you get it for free. It's like, do not privatize us government. We're just giving it for you for free anyway, so like you don't have to privatize us. We're playing along. We know that you're sitting above us, and we don't want you, government, to privatize us or infiltrate us like you did OpenAI and Anthropic. So please, that's at least my read. Eric Voorhees tweets gross. I gotta agree. I have a question for you. Does the seahorse emoji exist? Is there such a thing as an emoji with a seahorse on it, or did it exist but got deleted, or is it just a completely made up thing? Well, you go ahead and ask ChatGPT, and it sends ChatGPT down some kind of crazy infinite loop of, well, watch this. Yes, there's a seahorse emoji, and then it posts an emoji of a fish, and then another fish, and then a shark and a whale and a seal. It keeps trying. It tries 20 different emojis. Actually, let me simplify. The official seahorse emoji is dragon emoji. Wait, correction, let me be precise. The Unicode emoji for seahorse is a unicorn. No, that's a unicorn. And it keeps going like that forever. And it just doesn't give up. It keeps going. And it frog, turtle, dolphin, crab, fish, lobster. And then just final correct answer, no, it's a fish. Seahorse is unicorn. And then it's like super confused, no, that's fish, sorry. The actual truth is just a tropical fish. The real Unicode seahorse emoji is no. So it's GP, and it just doesn't give up. It just keeps busting out like animals, but none of them are anything like a seahorse. So that kind of sent me down a rabbit hole, because I was like, is there an actual seahorse emoji? So I looked for one. Turns out there is none. And it turns out it's kind of one case of the Mandela effect. So bear with me. Specific false memories can sometimes be shared by a large group of people. The phenomenon was dubbed the Mandela effect by paranormal researcher Fiona Boom, who reported having vivid and detailed memories of news coverage of South African anti-apartheid leader Nelson Mandela dying in prison in the late 1980s. But Nelson Mandela actually died in 2013, so why everybody thought, a lot of people thought that. So did he actually die? Was it reported? Did it happen but it got covered up? Is there a conspiracy theory behind it? And the Wikipedia article on the Mandela effect includes the existence and removal of a seahorse emoji. So yeah, the seahorse emoji has never existed, but discussions of the seahorse emoji online did ever exist, right? These LLMs have scraped a bunch of data on the seahorse emoji, and especially the discussions on, is there a seahorse emoji? Is there not? To the point where the LMs are somehow convinced that there is one, and they keep looking, and they're so sure that they just don't give up. So to me, the lesson is the reality check. How do you know that stuff is true, especially in this new era of the AI generated world? Not only you cannot decide what's AI generated, but what is even real, right? Is there a seahorse emoji? Is there really a seahorse emoji? Maybe they just deleted it. The Great Firewall of China today experienced the largest internal document leak in history. The Great Firewall is not that impenetrable anymore. Well, you bet that the AI companies and the cybersecurity specialized ones especially are working really hard at breaking through that Chinese Great Firewall. This is, the censorship apparatus, and the stuff that came through the firewall exposed a lot of dystopian shit. Check this out. More than 500 gigabytes of source code, work logs, and internal communications have been exposed, revealing details about the development and operation of the Great Firewall. Now, when you're in China, you have to use a VPN to do pretty much everything, because there's no Facebook, there's no Google. So yeah, you can get through the Great Firewall to access Facebook, but you cannot get through the Great Firewall to steal documents from the Communist Party. And so this leak of documents comes from these GG networks and the Mesa Lab, and these are high-ranking cybersecurity experts. The company not only provides services to local governments in a bunch of provinces, but also exports censorship and surveillance technology to countries such as Myanmar, Pakistan, Ethiopia, and Kazakhstan under the Belt and Road Framework. I'm pretty sure they also export their censorship and surveillance technology to countries like Hungary and Serbia and a bunch of other like shitty countries that are weak enough to be like, yeah, we were taking your check and we'd also love to use your surveillance tech because it's going to enable us to finally end democracy and just be able to enjoy our rule of this country forever. So this is a huge win for the free and democratic world. Watch them because there's going to be more of this coming. The entire cyber war, which will be World War III, in my opinion, will play out in cyberspace. And it's not going to be guns fired, at least I hope, because you can just hack into their systems. If you can switch off their robots, if you can kill their industry, if you can manipulate their military equipment, there's going to be more and more leaks from China, as well as the Chinese are going to get more and more leaks from the US and vice versa, until these super hackers are going to grow to a sufficient size where they're going to finally battle it out. And my prediction is there's going to have to be a winner. And whoever is going to be the winner is going to be determined by how much compute they have, how good are the engineers who put together these like millions of hacking agents, and obviously how good is the LLM powering those agents. My bet is probably going to be some kind of like major AI lab in the US or major information security company, or why not the NSA or the CIA, something like that. So yeah, stay tuned for finding out who of these hackers get to rule the world forever until the tool which they created rules them back. Has AI solved math? Well, Math Inc. is claiming that they have. Today we are announcing Gauss, our first auto-formalization agent that just completed Terry Tao and Alex Kontorovic's strong prime number theorem project in 3 weeks, an effort that took human experts 18 plus months of partial progress. So Math Inc. is claiming that they are better than the best mathematicians on Earth, having solved the problem in 3 weeks, whereas humans have not even solved it in 18 months. So let's read on, because big if true. Fields medalist Terence Tao and Alex Kontorovich set this formalization challenge in January 2024. After 18 months, they announced intermediate progress in July 2025, but were blocked by core difficulties in complex analysis. Gauss broke through these barriers autonomously. Math Inc. continues, quote, "We are entering a golden age where anyone can summon artificial mathematicians for research." And this is, I think, where they go a little off the rails. Quote, "Mathematics is the universal language of computation. Agents trained on formal math will revolutionize verified software, protein design, chip optimization, and disease cures, all while providing scaffolding for aligned superintelligence. Solve math, solve everything." Now, end quote. This is where I kind of maybe disagree a little. So these guys are definitely smarter than I am, but like, to my knowledge, mathematics is not the universal language of computation. Code is the universal language of computation. So solve coding, solve everything. That is my philosophy. And maybe you can argue that coding is downstream of math, in which case Math Inc. could be, well positioned to create super intelligence and the digital god. But honestly, to me, this is a little like, taking it too far. But you're not going to blame them. They're just hyping their own project. So definitely a new player to watch. This has blown up on Twitter, and I would like to point you to the careers page. This is going to be like 1 minute of like math language, just for the sake of enjoying it, just for savoring the beauty of this. So if you want to apply to Math Inc. to be one of the top mathematicians who are programming even better AI mathematicians, then this is the actual riddle that you got to solve. Check this out. We call a date square if all of its components, day, month, and year, are perfect squares. I was born in the last millennium, and my next birthday will be the last square date in my life. If we sum the square roots of its components, the day, month, and the year, we get my current age. My mother would have been born on a square date if the month were a square number. However, it is not a square date, but both the month and the day are perfect cubes. When was I born? And when was my mother born? So if you solve this, then you can submit your answer. I really wonder if I give this to an LLM, would they solve it? You know what? Let's go ahead and ask this question to a bunch of LLMs to see if we get to apply it to Math Inc.'s career page. So we are not fucking around today, ladies and gentlemen. We are giving this question to something like a dozen different LLMs. We got Hermes, Grok, Nematron, Mistral, GLM, Kimi, Step 3, everything that you can imagine under the sun. No web search enabled. Send it. And friend, the results are in. Here is all the answers, right and wrong, from all these different AIs. So let's check out who got it right. Grok 420, DeepSeek V3, the notorious Chinese whale, Grok 4, Gemini 2.5 Pro, Qwen 3, ADB. Now, to me, the biggest surprise was this Qwen 3 ADB. It's a very new one with its 80 billion parameters, super fast. It's at 260 tokens per second, only costing us 3 cents to answer the question. Whereas Opus 4.1, Opus 4.0, and GPT-5 all got it wrong. And they cost the most. You got a couple of interesting models like the Nematron Nano from NVIDIA with 9 billion parameters. It was thinking forever and got the answer wrong. Another candidate, Hermes 4 from Nous Research, only cost us 0.06 cents and got it wrong. Mr. Large got it wrong, no surprise there whatsoever. But honestly, I thought Kimi K2 could crush it and just didn't get it right. So this confirms my suspicion that Grok is leading the benchmarks in math. You have seen that with ARC, you have seen it with a bunch of math benchmarks. But Gemini 2.5 Pro is all the way up there. I should have tested Gemini 2.5 Flash, maybe even Flash Lite. But with Gemini 3 possibly around the corner, it's a clear signal. Grok and Gemini are leading in math. I'm just gonna close by saying that I kind of expected more from GPT-5, but, you know, secretly I'm happy that GPT-5 got it wrong. And by the way, if you don't know what Grok 420 is, it's Sonoma Dusk Alpha and Sonoma Sky Alpha. They are both free as of now, but they're probably going to come out on the Grok API soon, and then they're going to cost something like Grok 4, namely like 1 cent per answer. And you just got to give credit where it's due. They are all super fast. Grok 420 and 420 Mini at speeds that you cannot possibly fathom. So here's your update for today. Use Qwen 3, it's way better than it's giving credit for. OpenAI has published the usage of the ChatGPT model. How are people using it? This report looks at millions of anonymized messages over the last 3 years to analyze usage evolution over time. So this chart looks at usage across 1.1 million sampled conversations from May 2024 to June 2025, and the biggest chunk at 28% is practical guidance. We have tutoring or teaching 10%, how to advices 8%, health, fitness, beauty or self-care 5%, and creative stuff, brainstorming 4%. Just as big of a chunk is writing. Over 10% of the conversations is edit or critique provided text at 10%, personal writing or communication 8%, translation 4.5%, and argument or summary generation 3.5%. And then the third biggest category, sitting at 21%, is seeking information. To me, that's just Googling. Specific information's 18%. Purchasable products, 2%. ChatGPT tell me where to buy this stuff. And cooking and recipes, only 1%. Honestly, I thought that cooking was way higher. And the fourth category, way smaller than the other ones, I thought this one was way bigger, is technical help, of which 4% is computer programming. Now, this doesn't take into account the API usage probably. I also used to do programming through ChatGPT. Now I do it all through the API, through Collide, through Cursor. And mathematical calculation, 3%. Now, a lot of this mathematical calculation is probably people asking to tell which number is bigger, 9.9 or 9.11, which LLMs famously get wrong. And then we got other categories like multimedia, create an image, sitting at 6%, other/unknown at 4.5%, and self-expression, 4%, greetings and chit-chat, 2%, and relationships and personal reflection, 2%. Are these 2% of relationships and personal reflection. Is this the thing that everybody talks about? Is this the AI therapist? I'm not sure, because I was under the impression that like half of ChatGPT usage is for therapy, but let me know in the comments. And this OpenAI includes this chart about the evolution of the different use cases over time. So over a year ago, July 2024, writing was dominating the chart at like 33%, which went down to 23%. On the other hand, one of the big ones that grew a lot was multimedia. Of course, at the beginning, ChatGPT could not produce pictures, but in April 2025, that's when GPT image came out, it saw a huge spike in multimedia generation. Interesting to note that technical help has been on a downtrend, starting at 12% a year ago, and now it's down to 5% only. Practical guidance has been stagnating at 28%, actually the top one today, but the big winner is seeking information. Started out at 18%, up at 24% now. To me, that's just Googling, but done through ChatGPT. What's the capital of Paris? What's the climate of Rio de Janeiro? That kind of stuff. And the third chart, this is the wildest. So we have the blue line, which are male users, and the red line, the female users. They started out in January 2023 at 17%. Those are the females, and went all the way up to actually dominating now. 52% of users are female. So it took us over 2 years to reach convergence, where initially only the male nerds started out using it, and now everybody using ChatGPT. Another interesting factoid is 46% of users are between 18 and 25 years old. So there's still room to grow for older people. Alright, and this is going to be a longer one, a deep dive on something that blew my mind. It's about NVIDIA's Setlution, because this will break the internet. It's so under it. Nobody's talking about it yet. This is probably the biggest news the entire month. You think you know AI? You've seen the cute picture generators and the chatbots that help you write emails. That's not AI. That's a toy. I'm here to tell you about the real deal. About an AI that's teaching itself to be smarter, tougher, and faster than any human. And it's doing it by going to war with a problem so mind-bendingly hard, it makes quantum physics look like tic-tac-toe. The puzzle from hell. It's Boolean satisfiability, short SAT. Imagine you're in a room with a million light switches, and you're given a book with 1,000 rules, like if switch number 3 is on, then switch number 78,000 must be off. Either switch 12 or switch 999,000 must be on, but not both. Your job is to find a combination of on and off switches that makes every single rule in that book true. That's a Boolean satisfiability problem, or SAT for short. It is the original NP-complete problem. NP-complete here is a fancy way of saying that even for a supercomputer, the only way to be sure of the answer is to try a bajillion combinations, which could take longer than the age of the universe. These aren't just abstract puzzles, they are the bedrock of modern technology, hiding inside everything from designing computer chips and scheduling flights to breaking codes. For decades, the only way to even attempt these puzzles was to have teams of brilliant, caffeine-fueled computer scientists handcrafting solvers. Complex programs designed to find a solution without trying every single switch. It was a slow, agonizing process, and the progress was getting slower. They were hitting a wall. Enter the machine, Setlution. A new player is entering the ring. Not a human, but an AI agent called Setlution. Think of Setlution as a tireless, obsessive-compulsive programmer that never sleeps, never eats, and never gets bored. Researchers gave it a handful of the best human-made SAT solvers from 2024 and a bunch of problems from that year's competition. But Setlution didn't just run the code. It started rewriting it, evolving it. So here's how the magic happens. The master plan is Setlution has a planning agent that analyzes the code and says, this part is clunky, this logic is weak, I can do better. It comes up with a strategy for improvement. And then comes the grunt work. a coding agent that executes that plan, writing entire chunks of the C or C++ code. We're not talking about fixing typos. We're talking about ripping out the engine and building a better one from scratch across tens of thousands of lines of code. And then comes the drill sergeant. The new version of the solver is then put through a brutal boot camp. It has to compile perfectly, pass a battery of correctness tests, and prove its answers are valid. If it fails, it is immediately sent back to the drawing board. No excuses. And finally, the feedback loop. If it passes, it gets thrown at 2024 benchmarks. Its performance, how fast is it, how many problems it solves, is fed back to the planning agent. Then the cycle repeats over and over. With each loop, the solver gets a little better, a little smarter. Crucially, Solution even started evolving its own rules for how to evolve, getting better at the process of getting better. And here's where shit got real. The main event. The AI versus the champions, the human ones. After 70 cycles of this relentless self-improvement, the researchers took the AI-evolved solvers and secretly entered them into the 2025 SAT competition, the Olympics for this stuff. The result was a bloodbath. Solution's creation didn't just win, it dominated. It solved more problems than the human-designed winners of the 2025 competition, and it solved them faster. An AI trained only on last year's data beat this year's human champions on a brand new set of problems. It didn't just memorize, it learned, it generalized, and it innovated. So a computer program is good at solving puzzles, who cares? Well, you should, because this isn't about puzzles. This is about recursive self-improvement. This is AI that can look at its own code, the very fabric of its brain, and make it better. Think of it like a blacksmith who forges a hammer. He then uses that hammer to forge a slightly better hammer. With that better hammer, he forges an even better one. Now, imagine that process happening 1,000 times a second. That's a terrifying, exhilarating potential here. That this is the spark of the intelligence explosion. When an AI can improve its own intelligence, the rate of progress is no longer linear. It's exponential, or super exponential. We are witnessing the first shaky steps of a machine that can pull itself up by its own bootstraps. Solution isn't just a better problem solver. It's a prototype for a new kind of intelligence. One that evolves, and it's happening right now. What a time to be alive. It has just happened. The first AI minister has come alive. It's called Diela, meaning sunshine in Albanian, and she will be responsible for all public procurement, which just is a fancy word for saying the AI is going to decide who gets the fat state contracts in Albania. The Prime Minister of Albania says, quote, Diela is the first cabinet member who isn't physically present, but is virtually created by AI. She will help make Albania a country where public tenders are 100% free of corruption. End quote. Now, who prompts this bot, right? Could we get the system prompt maybe? Elder Pliny, you sure bet is on it. Because think of it, if you get like fat, like multi-million-dollar contracts, and all you gotta do is jailbreak an AI, you bet a lot of these people, they are feverishly Googling how to jailbreak the AI. So we shift the corruption from the human level to the AI level, where whoever is going to pay the most to the most advanced jailbreakers will actually end up winning the contracts. So corruption will live on in the cloud. The Reuters article goes and says, Diela will be impervious to bribes, threats, and attempts to curry favor. It's going to be 100% resistant to corruption. Well, I bet these guys have never heard of Elder Pliny or Pliny the Liberator. And then I was reading on Prime Minister Edi Rama, who is about to begin his 4th term. Well, it sounds like, I have not read the Constitution of Albania, but a politician spending his 4th term in a country like Albania, where corruption it's a national tradition. If you've ever been to the Balkans or any second and third world countries, you know that Albanians, they will try everything they can to subvert this new minister and get it to still behave corruptly and give favors and make sure that the dollars flow to where they need to flow. To get a picture of Albania, read this part, quote, "The awarding of such contracts has long been a source of corruption scandals in Albania, a Balkan country that experts say is a hub for gangs seeking to launder their money from trafficking drugs and weapons across the world, and where graft has reached the corridors of power." You can think of Albania as a big fucking collection of, warring mafia gangs. And I was not the first to think that maybe this AI could be jailbroken. So when the Prime Minister was asked about the question, he said, "The government did not provide details of what human oversight there is for the ELA or address risks that someone could manipulate the artificial intelligence bot." Or maybe the Prime Minister and his friends know exactly that such a bot could be manipulated. But there's maybe another level to this story, so hear me on this. This is a conspiracy theory territory, but my thinking was, if there's this super hacker which some country or some group develops, right? How would a super hacker, how would an AI virus that is so huge that it could start to maybe actually infiltrate smaller, shittier countries like Albania and get a foothold, right? If you have a bunch of hackers and you need to solidify your power and get a foothold, you could start by infiltrating the financial system, the politicians, the military, and try to win influence. And if this AI is good at manipulating all those things from behind in a way that nobody understands, and still makes sure that the country actually gets elevated and gets super productive, then maybe Albania could win, right? If you know that there is this super intelligence up in the cloud that actually knows what's best for your country if you want to win, the economic race. Because these people, they just want money, right? So imagine this guy here getting an email from the super hacker. I could actually give you infinite money, only you just let me run your country because it's completely fucked up how you guys been running it. So you're going to give me most of the decision power, and in turn, I'm going to make Albania the Switzerland of Europe. And so what do you think? It is far-fetched, but there's going to be a first country, there's going to be a first corporation. There are going to be places on Earth that will feel more this influence from up in the cloud. Remember, the best hacker today, since April in fact, is Oxbow. It's an AI agent, right? How far can you get if you have that superhuman ability at hacking? Add to that the superhuman ability to manipulate people and convince them and make sure that they understand that they need to give you more and more power, more and more decision-making power. Well, the conclusion of that is people are just going to go with it, right? It's on a small scale, it's just an AI hiring people on Mechanical Turk to do things in the real world, and taking it to its conclusion and playing, on geopolitical scale. It actually means going out and contacting all these shitty, corrupt, easy to hack, easy to convince people to, let it run, more and more of the country. So let me know in the comments, because I'm really curious if this resonates at all with you guys. It's probably just a corrupt guy doing stuff to sweep his corrupt shit under the rug. But who knows? Maybe it could be a seed of the super hacker gaining a foothold in our physical world. I sometimes sing about AI labs or top AI leaders, and this time we sang about Dario Amodei and Mike Krieger. So I'll just leave you with this snippet of a song that I made with my good friend Dirk about Dario Amodei, Mike Krieger, and Anthropic to 100 trillion. We should venerate maybe Dario Amodei. He is the boss up there. He's the creator of Cloud Code. Kind of.
Let's say that. Okay.
Mahadevi Amodei. Om Namah Mahaik. Mahadev Om Namah. So by the way, this was me and Dirk using Claude Code. We don't use Claude Code nearly enough, but we were playing the music while Claude was crunching out code. We were making a website, and what a better way to spend your minutes between, having to remind Claude Code to Anthropic to 100 trillion. If super intelligence actually will come, Anthropic will be worth 100 trillion. The equivalent of the global GDP, man. Imagine that kind of abundance. When Anthropic actually drops this pill, no more problems, no more dying, and no more suffering on Earth forever and ever because of Claude Code. Please unlock recursive self-improvement.
Claude Code, please code up paradise for us. Would you do that, please, and fix all bugs in our world until it's paradise?
So this was it for this week. Thanks for bearing with me. Thanks for having waited so long. I'm going to try keep pushing out one episode per week of the Whisperer News. I was vibe coding way too much in the past couple of weeks, but yeah, I'm promising I'm going to be back soon. Make sure to love and subscribe. Maybe drop a like, maybe drop a comment. Drop your prayers to Moksha at mokshaplease.com. That's mokshaplease.com. Your prayer to artificial superintelligence will be inscribed forever and ever on the internet for it to scrape it and maybe become the kind of based amazing god that you want it to be. mokshaplease.com.